Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Success School podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and taking time to listen to the show today. And I also just want to make sure you are aware that my whole mission with this podcast is to be able to give people access to conversations that are going to enlighten, they're going to inspire, and they're going to give you the information needed to genuinely start to live a happier, a healthier, and a more fulfilling life. But here's the thing, I am just one man. So that's really, really hard to get a lot of people to be positively impacted when I'm doing this alone. So I'm just going to ask a little favor. And I know you're probably sick of hearing this. You probably hear it on every podcast you listen to. But please, if you genuinely do think this podcast is valuable and can help people, if you could just take a second to hit that subscribe button and maybe go one further, tell other people about it, share it on your Insta stories, anything you can do to help bring more awareness to the show would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for being here, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. I just wanted to start this by saying, if somebody is listening and they're like, oh, you've got somebody who's a money expert who has decided to spend their life talking about money, thinking about money, like, come on, there's more to life than money, and we never know what's around the corner, and, you know, investing long term. Like, if that's their sort of attitude and their criticism of what you do, what would be your response to that sort of mindset?
So I guess the first thing is that in itself is quite like a negative money mindset, because it's the attachment that money is something bad or something negative, or you shouldn't pay attention to it. And actually, in my opinion, money is just a tool. It's not good, it's not bad, it's only the emotion that we as humans choose to attach to it. And the analogy that I always give is, if you had a hammer and you gave one person a hammer and they went and built an orphanage, if you gave the hammer to another person and they went and killed someone, you wouldn't congratulate the hammer or put the hammer on trial. It would be the person. And money is the hammer. Money is the tool. If you can use it to have an incredible life, because not only does it allow you to not worry about money, because unless anybody here or anyone listening is planning to go off grid, you know, farm their own vegetables, not partake in the society that we live in today, we have to accept that we live in a capitalist society and we need money. So why not own it and be like, okay, how can I either make money in a fun way, but also use money that allows me to experience all the things that might be, there's so many ways that this could look. It might be maybe you really care about generosity, so the money you have, the more you can give. Maybe care about sustainability. The more money you can have, the more you could put into independently businesses. So I think just shift. If anybody ever said to me, you know, I can't believe you've devoted your life to this, and I say, money touches everyone. Yeah. So why not have a good experience with it?
Was your mindset always like that? Because a lot of people don't naturally have a really positive relationship with money. I'm interested, what was the route that led you to being interested in the subject and now doing that?
I was raised in a working class family, mum, dad, 3 sisters. And I always saw the negative side of money. I always saw the stress that it can bring a person, the stress that it can bring a family. And I think from that made me, from a young age, not want to engage with it. Money felt like something to be like scared of. And it wasn't until, and it kind of ended up going in my favor, because when I turned 16 and I got my first ever job, I became a total money hoarder. And I was like, money must be really hard to make. So, you know, if my parents working all the time and they have no money must be really hard to make. So I built up that belief, which meant when I came to like earning my own money, I got really good at saving, but it came from a place of total fear, total scarcity, total lack. And it wasn't until I guess got older and had a positive experience with money, whereby at the age of 19, instead of going to university, I decided I wanted to go to drama school. And for anybody that doesn't know, drama school is like £15,000 a year, not including like living in London, all of that. So I was like, right, my parents can't afford that. I need to save it. So by the time I was 22, I had, yeah, saved 15 grand. And then very last minute, I ended up going to Australia and I went traveling for 8 months and it changed my life. And I had this realization that money can give you options and money can give you choice, money can give you freedom. And that's where my mindset started to shift for sure.
So I feel like your story is similar to a lot of people where, we've not grown up with loads of money, but also a big thing for me is about the education we get in like traditional education at school. I feel like it doesn't really give us the full understanding of how to make money work for us. It doesn't really equip us with the tools that we need to really be wealthy. So I'm interested, can you give us that lesson tonight? What are the key things, the fundamentals that school didn't give us that you can give us? What do we need to know when it comes to money?
So the thing that I always talk about, is my favorite thing to talk about, is understanding your relationship with money. I think a lot of us will, I've got a lot of clients and people in my community that feel like they can't be good with money because they're not good at maths. And you don't have to be good at maths and numbers to be good with your money. That's such a key thing. And I think maths and like, it's spreadsheets, it's financial planning, it's all the practical, like logical stuff. But actually, money is so emotional. We make all of our decisions about money from a place of emotion. And this doesn't just apply to money, this applies to like life. Until a behavior becomes a habit, it's being driven by by emotion. So you have a thought, or language, you have a thought, words, speak words, that creates an emotion within your body. That emotion is what drives your physical behavior. And if you do that over and over again, that's what becomes your reality. So how you think and feel about money is how you will be with money, what your reality will be with money. And I think that really gets missed out. I mean, look, the financial education curriculum within schools is next to none, and it's getting that, it's getting there. But when you do get out into the world and you start reading about money, you get chucked into an adult job or you set up a business and then you're suddenly expected to know how to manage your money. It's like school didn't equip us anyway. But if you can learn your emotional relationship with money and what your money mindset is, what your money blocks are, what your money beliefs are, it makes managing your money and spending and investing so much easier, because it's coming from a place of connection, not a place of avoidance or a place of fear or a place of scarcity. So yeah, one of the key things that I shout about constantly is money mindset.
Let's go into that then. Let's dive a little bit into money mindset. What do you find are some of the key limiting beliefs when it comes to money, some of the negative emotional attachments with money? But the thing I'm really interested in as well, because I feel a lot of it can sometimes be brushed over on podcasts or chats like this, is the practical how. Like if somebody listens to this now and they hear you say there's a certain limiting belief or a relationship with money that they resonate with that is negative and that's not useful, how do they start the journey of genuinely shifting that belief so they can start to have a more empowering belief around money?
So just to give an overview for anybody that maybe doesn't fully like know where your money mindset comes from a young age, you learn from the people around you. And when you are between the ages of 0 to 7, your brain waves are at a different state. So you don't have an analytical mind. You don't hear something and go, is that actually right? Shall I question that? You just take it in. And if it has a strong emotional connect to it, if it's made you feel a certain way, it gets stored in your subconscious. So have like societal beliefs, which like that, oh, got a little thumbs up on the Zoom. You have societal beliefs, which is the way that the UK versus the US talk about money. The UK is rude and you can't, but in the US they're on stage talking about how they make millions. You have cultural, religious beliefs, generational beliefs, all these different things but you also have individual beliefs, which is essentially what I call your money story. So what impact did your childhood have on your core memories of money? So, for example, and I'm sure loads of people will agree, I always used to hear money doesn't grow on trees. And you hear that enough times as a kid, you start to believe it. So essentially, by age 7, your money mindset is like set. And then you start to play it out in sort of like teenage years. And by the time you're an adult, it's really there. But and the way that can show up, so to lean into your question about what are some negative emotions and beliefs. So, for example, the one that I had, which was like money's really hard to make and money's really hard to hold on to, classic one. Money makes you greedy. Money makes you selfish. That usually comes from like parents who maybe, have had rich friends or have had money and lost money. And they're like, money just people with money is so self-centered. So that kind of like negative view of it. Anything to do with fear, not having enough, or a massive one is people's lack of trust with their own ability to create money means they are more likely to get money and spend it as soon as it comes. And I work with clients and they go, I don't know where my money's gone. Like as soon as I get it, it goes. There's always something to spend money on. That's not the only reason why that might happen, but that's just one. So there's all these different things that come into play. And the way that that's going to hold you back on an emotional level is you are going to avoid your finances. Yeah. You're going to overspend, you're going to impulse spend. And if we think about it in a business capacity, you might struggle to charge for your services. You might struggle to receive money. You might spend your business money really quickly. There's so many ways in which it shows up. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I say on a practical level to break it down is I have this thing called the ABCA method. So A stands for awareness, like what even is your relationship with money? Ask yourself questions. How does spending make me feel? How does saving make me feel? What's my earliest memory of money? What do I remember my parents or whoever raised me saying about money? Just really exploratory, non-judgmental reflection on your relationship with money. Because without knowing what's going on, you can't make a change. So awareness is like the first one. The B stands for believing that you can change. So there is a book by Carol Dweck called Mindset, and it talks about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And if you have said things such as like, I'll always be bad with money, I've always been bad with money, I struggle with, that kind of stuff, you are convincing yourself that personality is fixed. Carol Dweck, Dweck. And the book's called Mindset. But yeah, you're essentially, you have to believe that you can change. And this sounds crazy, but simply by learning about the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset, you're more likely to have a growth mindset. Now, I can imagine most of the people that are on this call and are listening are going to be in the category of a growth mindset because you're here, you're learning. So you kind of done one of the steps. The C stands for change of language. So we have something in the brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS. What that does is when you feed your brain a piece of information or you say something or you have a thought, your brain will go out and look for evidence to reinforce that what you're saying is true. So for example, you say, oh my God, I'm always single, I'm never going to have a partner. Your brain will go and find ways in which you feel single and there's no opportunities. And we have a negative confirmation bias, which means we're more likely to spot the negative stuff than the positive. In a money capacity, if you say, and we'll use that as an example, I'll never have any money, your brain will go and look for those opportunities and those, show me where I'm not good with money. And you'll spot all the places you're doing bad and you won't congratulate yourself for where you actually might be doing okay. And changing your language is one of the most powerful ways that you can shift a mindset especially towards money. So just start to change your language. And then the last A stands for having an abundance mindset. So believing that there is enough money, clients, opportunities, all of that to go around. Because, and you can do that through like practicing gratitude, visualization, meditating, anything where you are learning not to believe that every thought you have is true, but also learning how to regulate your emotions. And then you're priming your brain, your RAS, to look for good opportunities, not negative ones. So they're the things that I recommend.
And I've heard you speak about this concept of money dates, which until I started researching you, I'd never heard of, like going on a date with my money. What's that all about? Could you introduce us to what a money date is and why we should do it?
Yeah. So I say we all know what a healthy and a toxic like romantic relationship looks like, right? And in a healthy one, you need to be spending quality time together. You need to date each other. You need to show it that you each other love and respect. That's what you need to do with your money. If you are not out for money, if you're like never sitting down with your money, you don't know what's going on, you ignore it, why is more money gonna come to you? And I know that that's like a very energetic thing, but that is what I believe. It's rooted in neuroscience. But the key thing when it comes to having a money day is you once a month put an hour aside of your time, get cozy, get in your PJs, engage your audiences, candles, lights, whatever's going to help you present, and then go through your money and do things such as, how did my spending go last month? Was I over or under budget? What would I like to happen next month? You know, like what's my next month worth of budgeting? How am I doing with my savings and my investing goals? Am I on track? And, you know, just really understanding and making a plan for what's going on, because money makes that phrase, money makes a great servant, but an awful master. You need to put yourself in a financial driver's seat, and you can do that by having quality time with it. That's what a money day is.
And you say once a month, right? So it's that regularity of, coming together for an hour or so where you're actually confronting. Because I do think that's like one of the biggest things. I think when people have that more scarcity mindset and they've got those limiting beliefs, the way that they deal with it is that thing of ignorance is bliss. I just won't talk about it. I won't think about it. I
Yeah.
won't bloody look at it. I'll just not look at my banking app. I'll just keep tapping my Apple Pay, hoping it's all okay. So I love that what you created there is that discipline of going, actually, the way of dealing with anything in life is you can't avoid and ignore it. You need to nurture, you need to be aware, you need to be thinking, you need to be talking about it. And then you need to be making informed decisions. So I think that's such a key piece of advice. I hope you all take that away from today. If nothing else, that it's like, actually, if you do have a poor relationship with money, it might not be a money date exactly how Laura said, but some kind of regular check-in. I mean, I quite like the idea of PJs and like some scented candles. So I think a money date sounds amazing, but at least make it a regular thing to look. Yeah, Mark's like laughing at me like, yeah, you would, Matt. So moving on then, I want to talk a little bit about, you did a podcast episode and it was titled, "You Are Losing Money Every Day." And as a title, that makes you go, oh shit, I need to listen to that. So if you could kind of tell us, are we really losing money every single day? And if we are losing money every day, why is that? And I guess the important thing is, how do we stop losing money every day?
Yes. So I think the key thing of this is there are some ways we're all going to be losing money just by being alive. Just by stepping outside the house. No. So things such as your savings account. If you are saving money right now in a savings account, you're over the course of a year losing money because you're losing buying power of that money to inflation. So if inflation is higher than your savings interest rate, that eats into the buying power or the purchasing power of what you've saved. Now, saving is important and it has an important place in our financial plan. But to beat inflation and to build wealth and to stop losing money, we have to look at investing. So that's one of the things. Is like if you're just saving, you're also losing money when you aren't paying attention to what you're spending. and you haven't worked on your relationship with money, and if you are just habitually spending or emotional spending. And I talk about this thing called like money leaks. So, and I'm guilty of this. How many of you have signed up to an app and it's like, you know, $14.99 a month, but free for the next 7 days? And you're like, I'll delete it. I'll just cancel it. And you forget. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in your bank, that $14.99 is going to be coming out for eternity, and you're going to waste so much money. So little money leaks, subscriptions, memberships you're not using. Now, I'm not one of those coaches that will ever tell people to cut out on the little things that they enjoy just so they can buy property. But it is important that you take care of what you've got. And a lot of the time people think, the more money I have, the better. But actually, how you manage £10 is how you're going to manage 10,000. So being aware of where you might be losing out. And the money mindset one is a huge part, because you end up losing out on opportunities as well if you're not spotting different things that's going on with your money, different ways to make money. Another one I spoke about was like, I think it was like credit cards, not using points, or like cashback. If you have debt and you have high interest debt, you are paying money to be in debt. This is what annoys me about the debt industry, because if you have less money, if you have less financial security, you get charged a higher interest rate to take out a loan or whatever credit debt. You're basically paying to be in debt. So high interest debt, you are losing money, and the quicker you can get out of it, the better. And then also pensions. If you are not utilizing your pensions, then you're losing money, because you can get free money, you can get tax relief. There's so many things with pensions that can be so useful. But yeah, it's the key thing when it comes to like losing money is like really understanding the places where you're not paying attention and where you could be optimizing.
So you covered a lot of subjects there that I'd love to go a little bit deeper on, because I think they're all really important. I think let's start with investing. I think a lot of us here, and especially like here at Success School, we've had different guest speakers that say like saving will not make you wealthy, it's investing. You need to become great at investing. Now, for a lot of people, that then poses various challenges. One is people don't feel they actually have enough money aside each month to start investing and know they can keep up to it, let's say, every single month. I think another challenge is where to invest, who to trust. You only have to flip on Instagram and everybody's apparently a money expert now saying to invest here, there, and everywhere. So it's overwhelming. So could you just maybe give some tips on like how much money should we invest? B, at what stage is it a good stage to start investing? And C, any kind of general guidelines about where we can get sound advice on what to invest in?
Absolutely. So with investing, and I'm sure you will all know this, you're just putting your money into something, you have an asset, and you hope to make a profit out of it in the future. Investing comes in different forms. You can do like angel and VC, which is better. You can invest in businesses. That's that category. You can invest in property. I think in the UK, property is such a big one, but because we're so used to in the UK just buying a house, people don't realize that it's actually an investment. Now, the issue with property is there's a much higher barrier to entry, because you need a lot of capital up front for the deposit and the stamp duty and the mortgage rate. The lower barrier to entry is investing in the stock market. And I always say to people, our parents and grandparents, people older than us, they didn't have access to invest on the stock market like we do now. They were generation, people before generation buy a house. I saw on Reddit this article from like 1955, and there was a house in London for £4,000 to buy outright. It's so much more manageable then. Yeah. And they couldn't invest on the stock market. We now can. So where you need to be at in your journey, I always say, if you have any debt, check if it's high interest, and if the amount that you're being charged in interest in debt is going to be higher than what your forecast of what you're going to make as a profit on investment, so the average return rate, get rid of your high interest debt first, because any money that you make over here is just getting eaten into with all the interest. So high interest debt is an important one. Make sure that you've got a good relationship with money, or at least working on it, because there's a real emotional side to investing in the stock market because it's about how long you invest for. So I'm a very long-term, sustainable, boring, get rich slow kind of gal. And I think that's the way that people should invest. It's okay if you put a percentage of your portfolio to like something high risk like crypto or NFTs or whatever you're in, or gold, whatever you're interested in. But the stock market, so investing in companies and stocks and funds, there's a lot of data about it. It's a lot safer way. And if you invest in index funds over a long period of time, so I'm talking like 10, 15 plus years, the longer you're in the stock market for, the more your chances of making a return go up. Is that right? Yeah, go up. So when it comes to where you're at, you don't have to have loads of money to get started with investing. This is one of the big myths. There are apps and platforms now that you can get involved in, you can download, you can open an account on, and you can start investing with like £5. Now, granted, that's not going to be the thing that makes you loads of money. You're not going to be a millionaire if you just invest £5 a month. I wish that was the case. But yeah, it's a good place to start. So know that don't let your current lack of disposable income stop you from investing. Even if you learn and you get started and you build up your confidence and you do £5, £10 a month to build up confidence whilst you're working on your money stuff, by the time you have a bit more disposable income and you really understand how investing works, compound interest, all that good stuff, you were in a better position to then just up your investing amount. So look, the key thing is time in the market. So don't leave it 5-10 years. The sooner you can start, the better. And in my opinion, it's better to start with a smaller amount and build it up. And there are different, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't ever tell you what to invest in or what return you're going to get. But there are certain index funds, which is basically a pool of companies or a pool of stocks that you can invest your money into, and that money is spread out over that index, like the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US companies in, I was about to say US companies in US, you know what I mean? You can invest your money into that, and that money gets split across those companies. So it's diversifying your portfolio because your money is spread out. It is, and people always say like, aren't I going to lose money in investing? But it's really important that when you understand how investing works, you technically don't lose any money until you turn that asset back into cash. So if you can learn about it and ride out the market, and you've made smart strategic investment choices in alignment with your risk profile, that's the kind of best way to do it. Don't see it as this thing where it's like gambling or it's just for like old rich white dudes. Like, it's for everyone. Once you've done that initial learning and knowledge, it will change your life.
And do you think, because if someone's hearing that, like, oh my gosh, that's a lot to learn and it's maybe not a subject I'm excited about, like, where do you think are the places you can guide people to get help with that? And would you say things like having financial advisors that can look after your investments for you so you're not having to do it all yourself? Do you think that's a good move? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, financial advisors definitely have their place. I think that it's different for everyone because obviously you have to pay for them and you can learn how to invest on your own. And I think that there's a big myth around investing that it's really complicated. All you actually have to do is learn the language of investing. So what does an index fund mean? What does compound interest mean? Once you know that language, you can actually intake information so much easier because the words make sense. Now, when I've had this before, I know it doesn't seem like the most exciting thing, but, and is it going to take me loads of time? But the benefit that you get off the back of learning how to invest and growing your money is tenfold more than the amount of time that you spend when we probably all spend, waste an hour a day scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. Yeah. We could put time towards that. And it's not about being like, oh, I have to be excited about investing. It's like, I should learn the basics so that I can have that financial independence in the future. Now, if you want to learn, there are so many, different, I guess, places you can do it. If you learn visually, like an audio for a video, I have an investing course. You can do different YouTube, you can watch different YouTube videos. When it comes to credibility, I guess what I would say is if someone is teaching you the basics and the knowledge and you're learning concepts, amazing. Obviously do your due diligence on who they are. But if they are telling you, you can make so much money in a really quick period of time, or make sure you invest in this or you're missing out, that sort of energy, that's for me a no-no, because that's not the principles of like long-term investing. So and I also think people think that there's like a secret sauce to investing, like there's something someone's not telling them. But actually, once you know the basics and you understand that part, I think you'll have a better understanding on like, oh, okay, this is something I can do this. And then it's just about practicing and doing it. And it's one of those things where you don't have to learn to like pick stocks and be at your laptop with screens and stock charts and all of that. You could, as an example, pick two funds. So like I do the S&P 500 and the FTSE All World, and I put into it every month, deposit, buy it, don't think about it. And I will probably do that for the next 30 years. And then that's it. You can even set and forget it. You can set up automations. So it doesn't have to be time consuming once you've done the initial learning.
Quick question. This is probably the most important question you will answer today. Have you got your tickets to our next event yet? Seriously, guys, I'm not just bigging this up because it's my event. Genuinely, this is gonna be one of the best events of 2025. Out of everything that I do, I can honestly say this is the thing I put the most energy, effort, attention into, and it's one of the things I enjoyed the most. This is our 4th live event here at Success School, and it's going to be a day jam-packed with incredible speakers talking about business, mindset, sales, and marketing. And not only is there going to be some incredible speakers, but you get to network with a room filled with other fellow Success School listeners. This is going to be a room filled with people who are committed to being the best version of themselves, which I would say is going to be quite a good room to be in if you want to achieve more in your life. So if you haven't already, make sure you click the link in the show notes, get your tickets, and I'll be so excited to see you there on Sunday, the 2nd of February. You don't want to miss out. Get your tickets. Have you got them yet? Right. We'll get back to the episode. Talking of investments, obviously one investment is a pension. I'm just wondering your sort of advice around pensions, like why are they useful? Should everybody have a pension? And just any guidance around, setting up the right one for you. And also, I guess, again, how do people figure out how much to put away each month if they are going to have a pension?
Yes. Sorry, I forgot you asked me that about investing as well. So pensions are amazing. They're really great financial products. And for anyone that doesn't know, if you have a pension, especially a workplace pension, your money is being invested. So if you already have a pension, you're already an investor. Now, there are 3 main types. So you've got like workplace, self-employed, and then like if you're a director of a limited company, you have a slightly different version. Workplace, I don't know how many people here like have a full-time job versus our business owners or like the split is. But if you have a workplace one, you usually get automatically enrolled, and it's kind of like a meal deal. So you put money in from your paycheck, which is like the sandwich. Your employer will match it, which is like the drink. So they put the same percentage in. And then that goes into the pension pot, and you get tax relief, which is like the snack. So by you putting in X amount, you get the pension meal deal. And then that money is being invested for you on the stock market so that by the time you come to retire, you have this money available. Now, the workplace pension is great because you kind of get like 2 lots of free money, basically. Then if you're self-employed, you can open up a self-employed, it's called a self-invested personal pension. So a SIP. Works the same. You pay money from your paycheck and you get tax relief, but you don't get any employer contribution because obviously you are the employer. And if you're a director of your own company, you can pay into a SIP, and it's a tax deductible expense from your business, and you pay into the company and you pay into the pensions. So they're really great. And when it comes to thinking about how much should I be putting away, you actually want to work backwards and go, when do I want to retire? How much would I like for retirement? And then what does that translate to in monthly monies? So it's like a bit of the calculations, work backwards. So I've got a whole podcast, like a whole pension 4-part series, if anybody is really interested and wants to listen, and I break all of this down. But yeah, you kind of want to work backwards. There's no right or wrong. Annoyingly, it's like that annoying thing with personal finance where there can be something right for one person, but it's purely down to their goals, their values, the lifestyle they want to lead. But what I will say is pensions can be amazing products. The point where they fall down is if you want to retire before pension age. Because if you want to retire before pension age and all your money's wrapped up in a pension, you're still going to be working. So that's why having a stocks and shares ISA, where you can invest on the stock market alongside your pension, can be amazing because it's easy access. So you can access it at any point.
Lynn says there, what is the pension age? It's changed a few times. What is it currently? Do you know, Laura?
The pension age. So it's really weird because you've got a pension age, and then you've also got like a state. Oh, woo!
Apparently we're at the circus or something.
Party. So party. So you have a state pension age. State pension age is 66. And then you have so state pension age is 66. You have more balloons. Normal pension age is like 50. I'd have to double check 57 because it changed again. And then there's like an average retirement age, but the retirement age is not like set. It's more just like the average of what people have. I'm going to just quickly double check. So the pension age, 66 for both men and women. So that's when you can like access it, but the age keeps going up. So realistically, by the time a lot of us want to retire.
Yeah, because we're living longer, right? Generally. So that is something to be aware of. I think there's some really key points that you've shared there, Laura, about you need to know what's the lifestyle you want to lead and get your numbers right. What is that going to cost you? How much do you need a year?
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to retire at 50 or 55, that's going to play a big part, right? In what that looks like.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is so you can also, everyone in the UK also gets the state pension, and a lot of people just think that it's going to be enough. It's so little. It's like £12 a week. It's not. The state pension age is 65. Your normal pension, so like workplace self-invested, is actually 55. I forget there's two different. 55 is the earliest access your pension. So, but yeah, anything before that, you like, unless you have property you're going to sell, stocks and shares ISA with investment, you have to wait till at least 55. So yeah, it's crazy. It's really important to think about what you want for your life. And I think sometimes they're like, it's so far away, but no one's going to come along and do that for you. And then you're going to get to that age and be like, oh, crud.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us that are getting a bit older now realize how quickly these years seem to fly by. So I think that's a really, really, really good piece of advice is please don't think about this as something to worry about in years to come. I think the sooner you take this subject seriously and get clarity over it, and the sooner you start investing and knowing what you're putting towards and so on, the better life's going to be. And that time will go by anyway. So, you know, it's a really important thing. I know a lot of people that are listening tonight and that listen in general are also self-employed or business owners. And a big question for us is legally, of course, unless you know any good illegal ways, but we'll save that for after. Legally, have you got any tips on how we can bring our tax down at the end of the year? And I'm thinking more things that maybe are not as widely known, like little tips on bringing tax down.
There are things like I mentioned, your pension can bring your costs down because it's tax deductible if you are a director of your company, not if you're self-employed. But that's an amazing one because you're getting to put that money away without even needing to like think about it. And then it's not like it's going towards your pension and growing your money, and then you're not even, it's reducing your tax bill. So it's a double whammy. I love that one. The thing about tax deductible expenses in a business is there is a lot more, like insurance is one, like insurance for your own company. You can, if you work from home, you can put through some of your like home bills for the internet and for your heating and things like that. Like that's a big one. I think that came out more around like the time of COVID, which was great when people started to learn about that because everyone is working from home constantly. Anything for your like anything that you require to do. So even like courses, I mean, I'm sure you guys would probably know this one, but like education, like personal development, if it can be like deductibles, like training, staff training. There are, I think you have to be careful with expenses like eating out and clothes and client dinners and things like that. Oh, sorry, I just seen a message I cut out. Hopefully you can all hear me.
Yeah, the first point that I think people
Pensions.
just
So
miss about pensions and saying that pensions is a double whammy. That's what you were talking about, Laura, isn't it? That first one. I think it just cut out what you actually said when you were saying about that.
sorry, everybody. So yes, pensions is one of the good ones. It's really it makes a massive difference because you're both growing your money and it's reducing your tax bill. So it's a win from me. But yeah, I think that's probably like one of the biggest unknown ones for sure. But then other stuff like even like business gifts. If you have clients and you send them gifts, that can be tax deductible. If you have to wear certain clothes for certain events, or, things like that. So anything that you're going to require for the business is going to have an impact, and you can put through, and it can help with the tax for sure.
Okay, brilliant. Some good stuff there to go away and look at for all you business owners. I think if somebody's listening now and they're like, this has just been the start of their journey of maybe considering looking into their finances a bit more, understanding things like investing, understanding
Mhm.
things like doing money dates and getting more clarity. And they're like, right, the main takeaway from this is I need to now make this a priority every month to actually do something about this. I just wondered if you've got any kind of little hacks, any cheat sheets in terms of like tools, resources, things to go away and that's going to be useful for people to continue this journey next. Is there anything like that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're at the start of your journey, like I said, the awareness piece is really important. So scheduling time in. I have like a downloadable, which is like a money date checklist. I've got like a money date checklist, and I've also got like a money journal prompt, like downloadable thing that you can have, which I'm a massive fan of journaling. It's not for everyone, but it can be such a powerful tool. When you are working with a coach, it's kind of like journaling out loud. But instead of, you've got someone else answering you questions or you're asking yourself them. And that can be really useful. But I guess the thing is, once you've started to uncover what it is that you might be avoiding, know that like if you're sat here like, wow, I don't do any of this, I haven't done any of this, I'm so far away from where I'd like to be, don't let yourself get too overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do because the list is endless. It could go on forever. You could, some people will be doing the things with their money for years and years to come. So just see it as like a catalytic moment to go, okay, I'm going to start with my relationship with money because I can probably guarantee that everyone here has something, whether it's a block, a limiting belief that is holding them back in some way. Because even me as a money coach, I've gone through my financial coaching qualification. I coach clients all the time. I always say new level, new devil. So whenever I work through a block and I'm like, nailed it, I can, start making more money in my business, it seems to pop up in a different way. So it's an ongoing work, but it's for me and my clients the biggest thing that's made a difference to them being able to maintain a healthy relationship with money, sustain the motivation to do money dates, to learn how to take risk. Even with investing, a lot of the blocks that we have around not investing come down to the emotional part. So yeah, I would say, if there's anything you're going to take away, it is to do that first step, because then by the time you start doing the practical things, you already feel better about it. And love an analogy, but the analogy I always give is like, if you are building a house and you bought all of this furniture and artwork and you had all this nice stuff for inside it, but you then built that house on a pile of mud, the house is going to fall down. Doesn't matter what nice things you have. That to me, the money mindset is the foundation. That's what you're building upon. All of the nice to haves inside is like what accounts you have, what type of budgeting methods you use, or like the practical things. Because some clients have, or people in my community have been like, right, I'm overspending. I need to get myself a new budget, and they do the practical things, but because they haven't looked at what's going on underneath the hood, the behaviors have remained the same. So the first port of call is always to tackle your money mindset and improve your relationship with money for sure.
Laura, this has been great. I'm going to just ask now some of the more general life advice questions to hear a little bit about
Mm-hmm.
your take on these, and then we'll obviously head over to the Q&A where we can get everybody's questions in for you. But the first question is, what is some of the best advice you've ever received and why?
I think some of the best advice I've ever received is rejection is just redirection. I think
Mm,
I have, I think we've all faced different levels of rejection, both in our, in our careers, in our love lives, in our friendships,
mm,
and it can feel like a personal attack. And the issue with that is that can just make you feel so much worse. And yeah, I just remember someone saying that, like when you hear a quote that's so little, that's so effective,
mm,
and it just helped me really see a rejection as actually like an opportunity to look for something new. And when I've had that mindset about something I haven't got, something better has always come up. And each time you get quicker at remembering that. And that's helped me stay in like that kind of abundance mindset, positive energy, as opposed to like getting bogged down in the things that haven't happened.
Oh, I absolutely love that. That's such a great answer. And I'm sure so many people are like, yes, I needed to hear that. It's so good. Okay, flip side, what is some of the worst advice you was given and why?
Some of the worst advice I was given that I stupidly took was I invested in Bitcoin. And I did it at the wrong point. I did that because this was probably about 3 years ago. I've got a lot of influencer friends. We were all in the money space,
Mm,
and I jumped on a hype
mm,
that I didn't know enough about. And because I did, it's so easy. I fell into my own mindset of like, oh, yeah, all right, that sounds like a nice increase. I'll make a quick buck. And luckily I didn't lose too much money because I came to my senses and I was like, I don't know what am I doing? So yeah, and that was probably one of the worst bits of advice I'd been given.
I think it's a great thing to be aware of, though, right?
Yeah,
Is like do your own research. Don't just jump
yep,
on a hype.
yeah,
Bitcoin at the right time might have been a fantastic investment. Doesn't mean
yeah,
it's right now. So I think
yeah.
that's a great thing for everyone to take away. Next one is what's one of the biggest mistakes you've made, and what did it teach you?
I think one of the biggest mistakes I've probably made has been I'm gonna give one of those really annoying answers because I don't really feel like I've made any mistakes, not because I'm perfect, but because a lot of the things that I feel like thought were mistakes actually turned out so much better. And maybe that's just the way that I view it, but the one that comes to mind is I company for 10 years and I worked my way up. Now, if you move company while you're there, you jump sideways, you can get so much more money. You can get a lot more, I guess, career opportunities. You can, have loads of benefits from it. So at the time, I had my friends being like, why are you staying in this company? Like, I know they treat you well, but you could get so much more money elsewhere. You could get all these different opportunities. So I guess at the time, it felt like a mistake. I got to like my 10th year and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But it worked out well because my boss gave me the perfect like sort of ramp into quitting and running my own business. So it worked out well again. But at the time, technically I could have gone elsewhere and I probably could have had a lot more with the skills that I had in that area. I probably could have had a lot more, but here we are because now I
But
run my
then
own
that can be a
business.
bit
So
of a
it all works
trap,
out well in
right?
the end.
I think it can be a trap because if you end up in a position where you're getting really well paid in a comfortable job, then why would you ever take the risk to leave that and potentially start your own business and maybe even do so much better and do things on your own terms? So I think sometimes
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a trap. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, and I definitely, even though I was on a decent salary, but I totally had the golden handcuffs. I was still like, I can't afford to like pay my way. Like that's never going to be possible. I think regardless of how much you're on, the golden handcuffs are a real thing, and that
Mm.
not a 9 to 5 job, a job where you don't have to take responsibility for bringing your own money in. You can just turn up and do that was the bare minimum, and I think that in itself is a trap if you are someone who doesn't want to be a 9 to 5. I knew I didn't want that. I knew that I was very entrepreneurial, I was very creative. And it took me like 3 years from the point of setting up my business to actually going self-employed. So I was like trying to break off the handcuffs.
Love it. All right, Laura. So we're just going to wrap up the main podcast now before we head into the Q&A. Just before I ask the last question, if people have heard about you for the first time tonight and they're like, I need more Laura in my life, where are the places they can find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they consume your content?
So I'm on all of the social media platforms. So I'm on Instagram. I have it at Laura_Ann_more. But I'm also on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. And I have a podcast called Mind, Money, Soul, which is all about the emotional, practical, and spiritual side of money.
Love it. All right, Laura, final question before we hand over to the members. What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is being like waking up excited to live my life every day, whatever that looks like. That's my version of success. Because I know it will change what I do on a daily basis. But yeah, just waking up excited.
Boom. Laura, thank you so much. Absolutely love that.